Continuing here with Prereq 5 on algebraic expressions for the product formulas that we were talking about. We just got done talking about the x plus y in parentheses squared. So let's talk about x minus y once again. If you don't remember these formulas, not a big deal, right? All you're simply going to do is FOIL, but there is basically what we're talking about. You take the first term and you square it. You take these two items, you multiply them together, and you multiply it by a 2. Then you take the last term and you square it. And once again, as proof to y, you can do that. You just FOIL. X minus y squared is the same as saying x minus y times x minus y. All you need to do is FOIL. So x times x is x squared. X times negative y is negative xy. This right here, that also is a negative xy, and negative y times negative y is positive y squared. So, since that is a positive y squared, when we combine these together, those, if I have negative one of them and negative one of them, I actually have negative two of them, which is why we have that formula. So once again, instead of using foiling to solve this, let's just use the formula that we have created here. You take the first term and you square it, so 2x squared. And then you take 2 times the first term times the second term. So 2 times the first term, which is 2x, times the second term, which is a negative 5. And then it is the last term squared, so negative 5 squared. So when I try to simplify this, I take the exponent through to everything. And 2 squared is 4. And x squared is x squared. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times a negative 5 is a negative 20x. And negative 5 squared is a positive 25. And there's your answer.
Look at these women,
Okay, product formulas. Continuing, I suppose. Let's see what we have. X plus y cubed. You can FOIL this if you would like. However, it's a little more challenging to sit there and FOIL everything out, but you can still get the right answer. Otherwise, you could try to remember this formula. And how the Q formula works is you take the first item and you cube it. And then you take the second item, and that is 3 times the x and y. And the next one is a 3 times the x and y for the third one, and it's the last item cubed. But notice a little pattern here. Notice the pattern of the x's. It's x cubed, then x squared, then x to the first power, so it's 3, 2, 1, then there's no x's. Look at the pattern in reverse. There's no y's, then there's 1 y, then there's 2 y's, then there's 3 y's. So what I'm saying is, it starts off with your first term cubed and it goes down. So x cubed, squared, 1, none. Then no y's, 1 y, 2 y's, 3 y's is how it goes the whole way up. And just remember your 3's in the center, and that's how you can remember the formula. Just to speed this up, because you obviously don't care y as much, but you would just FOIL. So I would FOIL these first two, and when I FOIL these first two, that's what you get. But then you have this, which became x squared plus 2xy plus y squared times that x plus y. So I have to FOIL again. Once again, this is why you try to remember these formulas. Because if you don't remember these formulas, it's just a long foiling process, which is what I'm doing here. It's just a whole bunch of foiling. And then I have to combine all those like terms together. So there's the x cubed. Those two are similar, right? Because this is an x squared y and this is an x squared y, so you have 3 of them. This is an xy squared and an xy squared. There's 3 of those, right? 1 plus 2, there's 3 of those. And then all you have left is the y squared. So you can still FOIL to get the answer. It will take much, much longer, but it is possible to do. So let's use the formula for this right here. You take the first term, right here it is, and you cube it, is what I have there. Then you take 3 times the first term squared times whatever the second term is, plus 3 times the first term, but not just the first term, right? And notice the pattern, 3, then 2, then 1, right? But notice the pattern here. No second terms, one second term, so now this 2 is squared. Notice that the second term is going up. None, 1 squared. Okay, so that's how we're getting that. Alright, and then it's the last term cubed. So no last term, 1 last term, 2 last terms, 3 last terms. 3 first terms, 2 first terms, 1 first term, no first term. So now it's all about simplifying. So I have to take that cube through. 3 cubed is 27, and that's x cubed. Then we have the square, because according to our order of operations, I have to take that through. So I end up getting 3 squared, which is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 2 is 54, and we have the x squared. Once again, I have to take the squared through, so 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36, and that x is there. And 2 cubed is 8. And there is your final answer with all those steps of foiling involved.
You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee.
Alright, so if we have that formula with addition, that formula is also there with subtraction. And there is the formula with the subtraction involved as well. Okay, notice how we have a minus and a minus. Notice where the minus signs are. In the other one, everything was addition. In this one, it's minus every other one. So keep that in mind when you're doing these. So the proof is the same. I'm not going to waste our time going through the proof again. It's just foiling. That's all that the proof would be here. But we're going to go through this again. So first term cubed. So 3x cubed. Then it is minus a 3, right? So minus 3. And the first term squared, so 3x squared. And then just the second term, which happens to be a 2. Okay. Then we move on, plus 3. Take the first term, right? So I take the first term. And notice how it goes down in order. Cubed, squared, so it's just 1. So it's just a 3x. And then it's the second term squared. Okay. Then next up is the last term cubed according to the formula, which is what I have right there. Let me move that out of the way. So now I just have to combine everything together here. So 3 cubed is 27, and that x is 27x cubed. I have to take the squared through again according to order of operations, so that is a 9. 9 times 2 is 18, and 18 times 3 is a negative 54, and that x squared comes along for the ride. Do the squared, so 2 squared is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 3 is 36, and that x comes along for the ride. 2 cubed is 8, but there's a minus sign there, so it is negative 8. And there is your answer.
Yummy!
So now we want to take a look at some examples here. So let's take a look and see what example we have. Okay, so this example 6 here, I know that it looks crazy, but if you remember your rules that we just went over, don't these two look exactly the same, except this one's minus and this one's plus. It's the very first product rule we went over. So what that means is you take the first term and you square it. So 2r squared, squared. You take the second term and you square it. And you put a minus sign in between them. So 2 squared is 4. And r squared squared. Well, what do you do when you have a squared squared like that? Well, that becomes multiplication. So really we're looking at a 4, r the fourth. And the square root of a square, what happens to the square root of a square? Well, they basically cross each other out. So all you have left is the s, because square root of s times the square root of s is just s. So it's really just minus s. And there's your answer for that one. Okay, when we come back, we will try to finish up here with our examples on prerequisite 5 algebraic expressions for trig.